Good morning, Acadiana. All right, it is episode 22 of the Schultzycast. First night of Passover. Mama Schultz got me some matzo ball soup. She's gotten it from other places before, and that was better. But you take what you can get these days. I have not weighed myself in. Oh, well, I had a little bit too much bologna. But we're going to Orange Theory today, and we'll be fine. Yesterday's episode, went a little long. Tomorrow's episode is going to be short because, well, not short, but it certainly won't go 50 minutes. I'm getting Tim back from Coastal Carolina to hop on Locked On Sunbelt at 7:30. So he's doing it 8:30 in the morning. I'm doing it at 7:30, and you do it when you can get up. I'm already up. You do it when they can do it. So, all right. So let's see here. We got the big news was Kobe Julien. We'll get to that. We got Cajuns baseball change coming in the rotation. Maybe forgot about LSU Gymnastics. Sorry about that. That's ridiculous. You're right. I have trouble walking, and they're walking and doing flips on a balance beam. So unreal. Softball tonight is sold out. Me and Foot are gonna go back and forth. I'm gonna go over there like at 5 o'clock to make sure I get a seat and inside. Although outside's not the best, not the worst thing either. And then go get Dez. Mike Desimo holds his press conference tonight, and we'll probably miss. He's usually there at about 6:15, and we're done at 6:30. So we'll miss the first couple of innings of softball. Pels get another day off, and I did go get my bottle of Makers for the Nunu's Bourbon Raffle, and they're going to be doing things a little bit different from what I first thought. So, all right, so let's talk about Raging Cajuns losing Kobe Julien. He was in the transfer portal. Again, this was something that, you get sources. I don't have any sources. I really don't. I have no sources. But right at the beginning of spring camp, Kobe Julien, you walk into the football facility, and right before you get to that is the basketball facility, and Kobe's sitting right there. I said, "Are you coming back again?" "Yeah." "All right." And then about a week later, he's in the transfer portal, and now he's going to Arkansas State. So I know it kills Cajuns fans that, they've lost two of their better players. They got to somehow replace. What are we looking at? 27 points and 15, 16 rebounds. You got to replace that. But Joe Charles is going to McNeese. I'm concerned if he's going to start. And Kobe Julien's going to Arkansas State, where they're kind of running and gunning. So we'll see if it's a good fit. All right. Cajuns fans will, the small but vocal portion of the fan base will tell you that, they left because of Bob Marlin. I don't have if we can find a good example of a Cajun that's transferred, that's flourished, even before like the transfer portal got going, like Cedric Russell went to Ohio State. That's nice in theory, but he came off the bench. If that's what you want, okay. You're playing in the Big Ten. Jordan Brown went to Memphis. That didn't work out. And now we'll see how it works out for the other two. I will say this clearly. I am not rooting against them. Not at all. All right. Although, Kobe Julien kind of did that, and maybe even Joe did. If you can't beat them, join them type of deal. Now, it's a little bit different because Joe Charles went to McNeese, and McNeese has a little bit of an easier route to the NCAA tournament because they host the Southland Conference tournament. And if they're the best team, they only have to win 2 games on their home court to get to the NCAA tournament. That's a much easier route than having to win 3 games minimal at Pensacola, which is what Arkansas State did. They beat the Cajuns, and then they took down App State, and then they did get blown out by JMU, but a little bit too much JMU. However, right now, April 23rd, are they the preseason favorites? If you go down the standings from last year, App State's coach came back, but most of the team is gone. JMU's coach left. A lot of that team left with it. All right. Troy and Scott Cross will always have a good team, but they always seem to be rather veteran. So that'll be a turnover. Then you have Arkansas State, and then you have the Cajuns. And the Cajuns are trying to figure things out. So did we see who the Cajuns got last night? Bob Marlin tweeted out, "Go Cajuns." But I did not see who, if they got a, let me see. Did they get a transfer or not? I don't know if it's going to be official or not on the thing. No. All right. I mean, let's see. It's Bobby Marlin, which is funny, on Twitter. Let's see if he retweeted anybody. Nope, just go Cajuns. All right. All right. We don't see anything but snide replies. So maybe he got somebody and it hasn't been released yet. So we'll see. All right. Here's the other thing. I would like some answers. You're welcome to comment. So on a regular season basis, it wasn't great over the last few years, but he went to back-to-back Sun Belt championship games. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? It's basketball. The only thing, sadly enough, the only thing that matters is that weekend in Pensacola. And I'm trying to tell people that's why, it's important to be where the Cajuns are heading in the right direction with baseball, right? We're trying to get to the point where they are in the high 20s or low 30s, and they don't have to rely on having a good week in Montgomery. That's the whole thing. You go to Montgomery and now you're like, all right, I don't know. I'd say it's ridiculous. They finished 45 and they're already 31-11, but say they finish, say they hit 3 more losses. So that's 14. So that's 42-14. All right. And they got an RPI of like 28. Now you got an outside shot if you beat, I don't know, Southern Miss, JMU, and Coastal for a championship to get to a hosting situation. That's what you're looking for, right? That you're moving on up and improving your seeding instead of like last year where they had to go on a big run and beat Coastal not once but twice to get to the NCAA tournament. So, right now they're sitting pretty. They're 43. Let's see what the predicted. The funny part of this Warren Nolan website is that the predictive rankings, predictive outcomes changes without any further information. So let's see what they got. The Cajun 31-11. They haven't changed. They're still 43 RPI. The quadrant 1 is now 2-4 with their win over Coastal and their win over La Tech, and their loss to LSU. So remember, like last week, they were like 0-2 in quadrant 1. Now they got a loss to maybe it was even 0-1. Now they got a loss to LSU, and they got 2 losses to Coastal, but they got a win over Coastal and a win over La Tech. So that helps. All right, predictive results. And this changes regularly. All right, so they have them 41-15, and this is what I'm concerned about. All right. Let's see what the losses are. Some of this stuff I don't necessarily agree with. All right. Has them losing 2 out of 3 to Southern Miss, losing Friday to Troy, and losing 1 to Georgia Southern. Okay. So they have them 41-15 with an RPI of 57. That's exactly what I'm terrified of. Can you imagine going 41-15 and having to win the Sun Belt Conference tournament? That's what I am terrified of. Yeah. And I don't know. Because they would still win. Let's see what the record is. 23-7. They would still win the Sun Belt. No one's catching them doing that. And they'd have an RPI of 57. That would be unreal. That would be bad. That's what I'm talking about. That's what you can't have it. I wish we had a website where you could plug in the wins, kind of like a mock draft type of deal. And you can, plug in those wins and take out some others, because I'd really like to see where they would be if they had a win over Houston and one more win over Rice, because that's what's killing them right now, right? The loss to LSU isn't great, but it could get better because LSU really hasn't beaten anybody. And the loss to Vanderbilt, a little bit disappointing as well. So we'll see. Now, on the field, we did talk to Daggs yesterday. We did ask him about the decisions to pitch to Brown and pitch to Barthol, and he's not necessarily wrong. So if you pitch around Barthol, you pitch to Bodine, and then you got Brown. And if you don't pitch to Brown, you're pitching to Beach, who's also tied for like the league lead in home runs. So, you got to pick your poison. But, I'm going to try to avoid Barthol and the guy who's hit 2 home runs and, who's hit 2 home runs. That's where I would try to work around. He also mentioned, the strike zone with Herman's outing. He thought Chase Morgan pitched well, was not all that pleased with Carson Fluno. I mean, did Carson Fluno pitch any worse than Herman or Chase Morgan? I mean, all these guys' numbers were the same. The starting pitching was, to put it nicely, struggled. I don't know if one, was snake bit more than the other, right? I mean, Herman was snake bit because the third baseman didn't make 2 plays. But I'm not sure if anybody pitched all that great, right? Saturday was still 5-2 at the end of 2. And Chase faced 9 batters. The bullpen didn't come in and get outs, right? Like the bullpen, David Christie pitched really well, should not be overlooked. Hopefully that gives him confidence. And JT Etheridge didn't pitch particularly well. Blake Marshall didn't pitch particularly well, nor did Jack Martinez pitch particularly well. So, on Saturday, Morgan was picked up by Langevin, and Herman was picked up by Christie. But on Sunday, the bullpen wasn't great, and I don't think Fluno pitched any differently than the other guys. All right, if the bullpen pitched well on Sunday, the Cajuns would have won the baseball game. If the bullpen performed on Sunday the way they performed on Friday and Saturday, Cajuns would be sitting in the 30s and looking good. So we'll see. Also did find out about why Josh Alexander's not in the lineup. Josh is a free swinger, according to Daggs, and we got some swings and misses in there, and we're trying to limit those. So that's interesting because you got a lot of guys who swing and miss. Yuha swings and misses. Stelly swings and misses. You do. I'll have to pay attention to Mandino. I just think that Alexander's better defensively, can run the bases, and can drive the baseball. I'll take a couple of swings and misses. And I think he can bunt. So I'm a big fan of Josh Alexander. I'm not sure why he's missing, right? They do get Houston Baptist tomorrow. And so they can't lose that one. And it's Lance Berkman. So that's pretty cool, right? I mean, we've had Jose Cruz Jr. come in. It's pretty neat. And Lance Berkman, which I didn't realize was coaching Houston Baptist. So that's pretty neat as well. So that'll be tomorrow. It is what it is. All right. It is episode 22 of the Schultzycast. Please like and review. We are on Apple and Spotify. So you can find the audio portion of the podcast as well there. I did forget to, congratulate LSU Gymnastics for a guy who has trouble walking. Those gymnastics, anything gymnastics is really impressive. And there's different events going on at the exact same time, kind of like a track meet. So I don't know if you can get distracted by what you're doing and somebody else is getting applause, or you're getting a ooh or something like that. But really good job by LSU. Kind of always been the bridesmaid when it comes to the gymnastics. Always get there but never finish the job. But congratulations to them. That's awesome. So really impressive. LSU getting the national championship. As people said, Brian Kelly's on notice, right? Maybe Beth Torina too, right? You got a women's basketball championship. You got a baseball championship. Now you got a gymnastics championship. Now you need a football and softball championship. My goodness. Basketball championship was a few years ago. All right. All right. Speaking of softball, Cajuns hosting LSU tonight. Game is sold out. We'll see what that means. See if the bleachers are full. It'll be fun. We'll see. A little bit different pitching is what they're thinking. That's what Jerry thought. Cajuns got off to a good start in the game last week with Laney Creator hitting a 2-run home run, but couldn't do anything after that. Really good defense by Pleasance at short. Cajuns, I thought, played good defense a couple of times, and some other times it got away from them. We'll see. It was a good game. Last week, 4-2 LSU. It's a big opportunity for the Cajuns to get a win at home against a top 10 team to help out their chances to host, right? And also it's to gauge, what a regional is going to look like. That's the thing, right? That's what you're really concerned about, is that, it's not winning the Sun Belt only and continuing your Sun Belt streak. It's like, all right, we need to take this to the next level, because the point is to get to Omaha, right? That's the point. That's the point. So, again, we got Mike Desimo, 6 p.m., so we're going to go see if I can get into my seat at 5 and then go to get Mike Desimo at 6-ish, as it turns out to be. And then we'll come back to softball probably at 6:30. So we'll have Mike Desimo recapping the scrimmage this week and looking ahead to the spring game. Again, it's indoors and it's not open to the public. I just hope I don't get, run over during the spring game. And I'm going to Sulphur this week. If you remember Jeff Schneider, him and his dad run like the LHSAA TV network now, right? I did work for them for high school basketball. So we're going to do some softball. So I may miss the Friday night game, maybe not. I don't know. He said there's 3 games on Friday and 2 on Saturday. So I may be back for the late game I may be back for Friday's game, right? I don't know what time they start, right? Softball doesn't last that long. And I probably will miss the Saturday game because it starts at 2. And then we got spring ball. So the idea is to be here for the spring game. Also, there's the voodoo. I just want a voodoo hat. I need a Louisiana voodoo hat, mostly because I think it's going to be a collector's item. It's just, last year when they went to Lake Charles, I told my guy Lyndon, call me when they play. Now, they're going to play this Saturday in Blackham Coliseum. I'm putting the over-under at 3 games. We'll see. All right. You can read all of the issues that they had in Lake Charles. And of course, Lake Charles is blaming the voodoo. The voodoo is blaming Lake Charles. I'm hoping whatever check was given from the voodoo to Blackham Coliseum and the Cajuns, cleared before they play. And we'll see. I want a cap. All right. I'm not sure if indoor football in spring is what we need here in Lafayette. That's not. And it just seems to be a fly-by-night operation to me. I don't know. I kind of feel like the whole indoor football fad has gone hasta la bye-bye. And just me. All right. That's just me. All right. Few more minutes here. before we go to Orange Theory on a Tuesday morning Schultzycast. Oh, let's do back to baseball. Let's do, this came out yesterday. Let's do a little bracketology. 11.7 college baseball did their bracketology yesterday. And they got 3 Sunbelt teams in there. All right. The Cajuns are number 2 at A&M. And last night, the predicted Cajuns was finishing up with an RPI of 36, or 34 maybe. And if you're getting the number 1 seeded A&M Aggies, then you're around 32, because they should get the worst, if you look at it that way, or the lowest seeded number 2 seed, and that's where the Cajuns would be. All right. That was yesterday. This morning, the Cajuns are at 57. So the Cajuns get in. They got Coastal hosting, number 12 seed. They get Georgia, and maybe the player of the year, UCF, and South Carolina Upstate. All right. And Southern Miss. Okay. So now you got a little bit of a battle for that 3rd spot. And I guess we're thinking that, because you have this JMU team that's not getting any love, that's got an RPI in the 20s, and finishes with like a predicted results in the 30s, not getting any love. Southern Miss, meanwhile, is like at 50 and getting a lot of love. That feels like it's more on reputation than anything else right now. You have a couple of big series outside of the Cajuns hosting Southern Miss. That's big. Troy is at Coastal Carolina, and I believe, right, they're tied for second. Are they all tied for second? Let's see here. Standings. Baseball. Coastal and Troy tied for second, along with Southern Miss 11-7. But the sneaky big series is JMU at South Alabama. South Alabama is in the 60s. And if they take 2 out of 3 from JMU or more, and if they lose 2 out of 3, they're probably done. But if they take 2 out of 3 or more from JMU at home in Mobile, then all of a sudden, South Alabama is going to be in the 40s. Let's see what their schedule is. I didn't look at that. Let's see what South Alabama finishes up with. They finish up with the Cajuns, so that would be a huge series at the end. They get JMU. App State's not going to help, and that's at App State. That's tricky. And ULM, they do not have the best of all schedules. They got App State, ULM, and the Cajuns, and they're at the Cajuns, and they're at App State. So this is it for South Alabama. They have to take 2 out of 3 from JMU, or sweep them to set themselves up for an at-large berth, to put themselves in position. Or they could pull off a Cajuns where they get into the mid-40s, low 40s, maybe high 30s, and then get a couple of wins in the Sun Belt Conference tournament, and then they'd be set. Also, we're not even talking about, are we figuring that it's Coastal or the Cajuns or JMU or Southern Miss that's going to win the conference tournament? That's where I'm kind of, I don't want to say a blind spot, but again, my whole thing is just to get to the conference tournament, that you don't need to win the conference tournament. I'm not even counting on who may win the conference tournament. I'm sure when you're doing these, bracketologies, you're giving it to Coastal because they're the highest seeded and ranked team in the conference, despite, being a few games behind the Cajuns, which I don't mind. But we're not looking at who, does like an ODU or a JMU or Troy, for that fact of the matter. Do they, win the conference tournament? Is that the way you get, 4 teams in, or maybe even 5? I don't know. The RPIs are not, overall great for the Sun Belt right now. Cajuns are at 43. All right, that's headed in the right direction. Coastal's 13. That's outstanding. Troy is 71. And as we just saw, going to Conway is going to help them, right? Southern Miss is 50. Play the Cajuns. That's huge. That's a big deal. They win 2 out of 3. They're going to be good. James Madison is 23. Georgia State, which had a tough weekend, they're down to 66. Old Dominion 61, Georgia Southern 67, App State's 83, and then you got the teams with the hundreds, and South Alabama 68, right? South Alabama's big thing, so you're going to have two things with South Alabama. They have a chance to put themselves in a good spot RPI-wise with a 2 out of 3 or a sweep over JMU, but because they're sitting 10th, they're going at App State, and they get ULM at home. If you win 4 out of 6 ball games, and now you've won 6 out of your last 8 Sun Belt games, you're most likely in the tournament. That's the first thing that South Alabama's got to worry about, is just to get to the Sun Belt Conference tournament, which they would put themselves in good shape with a big series over JMU. So we shall see. Obviously, the Cajuns cannot lose to Houston Baptist. You can't. That's not going to help them. That's not great. So they cannot be losing to Houston Baptist. It's nice that Berkman's coming in with his team, and I guess he's a buddy of Dag's, which is great, but you can't lose to them, right? And then you get Jackson State next week, and that's not going to help either. All right. Pels get another day off, not playing game 2 until tomorrow. I kind of feel like they missed that opportunity to sneak one past OKC, right? That was where, they've played. They're certainly not rusty. I don't know how well rested, because now they've played 4 games in a week: Sunday, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday. Whereas this was OKC's only second game or first game since the regular season ended, which is what I wanted for the Pelicans, to be well rested, and they'd still have Zion if they didn't play in the play-in tournament, in theory. But, so it's a little bit different when you are the favorite and what you're expected to do. And OKC, I think, played a little nervous. And they got away with one, right? Brandon Ingram played really poorly. 5 of 17, 12 points. They had multiple chances to take the lead and missed. And I happen to think, we'll see. I happen to think that OKC will come out more relaxed and have an idea of what the atmosphere is going to be like, and what playoff basketball is like. We did see, of course, complaining about the officiating. Here's the thing that you want, but you just want it to be even, right? And so I think I saw Holmgren come down hard on Trey Murphy, and I guess it's Greg Anthony. Well, there's going to be, it's NBA playoffs. It's physical. There's going to be contact. Well, that looked like a foul. But then Larry Nance Jr. just standing there, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, throws up, prayer at the end of the shot clock, and it's called a foul after he misses, by the way. So, are we calling the touch stuff, or are we going to let them play? That's where you just want it to be fair. You just want it to be even. All right. So that doesn't change the fact that Brandon Ingram went 5 of 17, and they had multiple chances to, take the lead late and didn't. So we'll see. But that's not until Wednesday. Also, we got the NFL draft is coming up on Thursday, and what do the Saints do? We'll see. It's I don't know. I mean, it's always boring when you try to get a tackle, but that's what the Saints need, unfortunately. We'll see what they do moving forward. Also, I'll talk more about. I'm a Patriots fan. I want Jaden Daniels. That's the guy I want. We're complaining that he's skinny. Is that the thing? He's skinny? Well, they had a couple of good receivers. Really? How else do you tell if somebody's good or not? I don't know. So I want Jaden Daniels. I'm not sure of the Drake May thing. Caleb Williams is going to Chicago. Boy, if they trade down and take a Penix or Nix, it may be a decade before the Patriots are competitive again. they better get a ransom for that pick. And I don't want one more first-round pick. And the swap doesn't count. You don't get the Vikings first-round pick this year is counting as a first-round pick. That doesn't count. They're going to take Drake May, I guess. And now you got this whole Jaden Daniels thing. Did you hear this stuff? That, so Jaden Daniels, and we didn't even go over this whole Arizona State thing. I mean, is ESPN saying anything about Herm Edwards? That whole Arizona State coaching staff, which there's a lot of connections to, ESPN and otherwise, were shady as all get out. But having said that, which included Antonio Pierce. But Antonio Pierce apparently coached Jaden Daniels in high school. And now he's feeding him lines to say you don't want to go to Washington? Come on. So he's going to fall? Is that the thing? Is that what we're doing? So I don't know how true that is, but, that's the rumors that he doesn't want to go to D.C. Washington had a group outing at Topgolf, which is funny, with J.J. McCarthy, I guess Bo Nix, and Drake May. Someone put out there on Twitter, so it's got to be true. I don't know. Bo Nix left an event early. It's funny. It was an autograph signing. And he left an event. Maybe Caleb was there. I don't know. But JJ and Drake were there. But everyone was laughing because how could Bo Nix leave an autograph session early? Because he's signing footballs. His name is Bo Nix. You can't have a shorter name and shorter autograph than Bo Nix. Right? But did everyone attend his 21st birthday? And do we have to watch that awful movie, Draft Day, again? I hate that movie, and yet I watch it every time. I do. I watch it every time. They try to put a love story in there. And just the whole story was awkward, right? The GM fired his father, the coach, because his mother asked him to, because it was going to kill him, and it ends up killing him anyways. And then Kevin Costner doesn't have 10 minutes on draft day to honor his father and to go out in the back on the practice field. It's not like he's going cross town or something. What are they doing? Just go out there for 10 minutes. Please your mother. It's draft day. Well, you already made your trade. You already got the deal. You're waiting for the clock to start anyways to wheeling and dealing. And then the Seattle GM, just buckles under the pressure. We're worried about salary cap when it comes to a rookie contract. I don't think so. I don't believe so. So it's an awful movie. I watch it every year. So we'll see. So I want Jaden Daniels. We'll get into that maybe more tomorrow. As a Patriots fan, I'm one of those guys, and I could be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I think the Patriots are closer to playoffs than others. I think they were better than they were last year. Not a whole lot better, but, if they're 2 or 3 wins better, which, if they have Judon and Gonzalez back, all of a sudden they're 6 or 7 wins. And then they're like, well, they're 2 or 3 wins away from making the playoffs. So, again, they're not Super Bowl contending team, but, they could be a playoff contending team. Start Jacoby Brissett for half a season, then get Jaden Daniels in there and go. All right. Also, if you don't get Jaden Daniels, that great win over Denver is the reason. Congratulations. Great. Bailey Zappi having a Christmas Eve miracle, taking Daniels out of the Patriots' hands. All right. Let's wrap things up. I did go to, I don't have the bottle. I may have left it in the car. I did go to Nunu's to get my, in Youngsville, my bottle of Makers. And they just said it was like a special bottle of Maker's Mark 46, which I'm a big fan of. And so I got 2 tickets to register for their raffle, which is next Friday. And so I think they posted something else on Facebook. Basically, they're going to go down the list of bottles and connect your ticket to the bottle and give you a week to go back and get it. Now, there's some that I may not want. I know, again, I can bring up his name. I know Matt Moscona's favorite bottle is like Elijah Craig 18. I have a bottle of that. I've bought a bottle of that for him. And I wouldn't be surprised if I got that bottle. He'll pay me for it retail. I'm not going to, first of all, I'm not flipping it to Matt Moscona. He'll pay retail, whatever I paid for it. But he'll also maybe give me a bottle. He may be able to get his hands on something that I can't, like a Weller single barrel or a E.H. Taylor single barrel. That I would do. Like I bought, that's where I got this from. A couple years ago, I bought 2 bottles for him, paid me for the bottles, and then traded. He gave me that as well. So we shall see what bottle. I'm not guaranteed a bottle either. And then the Rouse's Mother's Day thing. And I'm going to Louisville in 3 weeks. 4 weeks. It's PGA Championship weekend, but my nephew is graduating, and I'm trying to find one bottle, and that is a James Pepper decanter series. We'll see. You can't get them. We had them here. Ambassador had them for like a second and a half, and I missed it when they did. But I think they're readily available in Kentucky. I mean, do I go get a Peerless Double Oak? And it's like $40 more. I may go do that just to get it. So those are the 2 bottles I'm kind of looking for. And you may be able to find those more in Louisville. Last time in Louisville Thanksgiving, I did the tour, but no one wants to go with me. So it's no fun. I did with my brother and nephew. My nephew they gave him chocolate bourbon balls. He didn't like that. I think my brother liked it. I find the history fascinating. I'm not one who can necessarily taste the difference in the bourbon. So I don't know. Also, I don't really have a car at my disposal, so I can't go outside of town. I got to do it in Louisville. Like I'm not going to Heaven Hill or something like that. I may go to Michter's, but that's sitting in town. So we shall see. So we're just trying to get a couple of more bottles, and we got a chance at a raffle as well. So we shall see. All right. Off to Orange Theory. The audio portion will be up on Apple and Spotify shortly. Hopefully before I go to Orange Theory. Tomorrow's episode will be cut off before 7:30 because we got Coastal Carolina's Tim Beck coming on, allegedly. And we'll see if we can get the rest of again, we're trying to get all of the Sunbelt coaches. I did get Will Hall. So we got our buddy from the Fighting Will Halls on from Southern Miss. We did talk to Jared Parker from Troy and Bob Chesney right before spring ball. So I don't know if we need to, I kind of feel like I'm bothering them. I don't know if we need to bother them again, but we're trying to get everybody else after the fact. And it is difficult. So then you get called out, which is not totally unfair that, I'm West slanted and Cajun slanted. I'm sitting here in Lafayette. It is a thing. I've covered the Cajuns in South Alabama. And I don't know if you saw this. We talked about it yesterday. Gio Lopez, the incumbent quarterback at South Alabama, didn't complete a pass in the spring game. Yeesh. Like 0 for 13. Yeesh. So that quarterbacking job seems to be open, I would think. So we'll try to get more. I presume spring football is wrapping up. Maybe Marshall's got one this weekend, and the Cajuns absolutely have one this weekend. So we'll try to get Mike Desmo on next week, right? And then you are going through the portal. We did get a great video, and obviously Des knows what he's saying when he sees my phone, in his face recording him. He knows exactly what he's saying. So I haven't seen anybody from the Cajuns announce yet outside of a freshman defensive lineman who's going to junior college. So that is what it is. But you are starting to see some. South Alabama lost a corner, probably because he's on the depth chart, not where he wants to be. Right? I don't know how much of these G5 guys are getting money. But, are they going to start really? Are you really a backup at a group of 5 school and you're going to start at a Power 5 school? Does that make any sense whatsoever? No. So we'll see. The Cajuns have not been hit hard by the portal, but that's probably coming. It is what it is. So, all right, everybody have a great day. Off to Orange Theory and then Cajuns softball tonight. So that'll be cool. And we'll get Mike Desert and we'll post all of that. Be on the lookout here. Maybe we'll post maybe right after Orange Theory, Jerry Glasgow talking about the softball team and what he's looking forward to tonight for softball. So against the Tigers. So that'll be a lot of fun. Lamson's going to be sold out, which is a nice couple grand. So we'll have a nice atmosphere. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It is episode 22 of the Schultzycast, Acadiana Sports Show.